Ambassador Koh, I'm listening with lots of attention to what you have said, and I like very much controversial discussions. And this is why I would like to put a question which is more controversial. You said with the end of the Cold War, that was the end of ideology. But maybe that's just a wish from your side, another wish. And I would like to ask you whether you don't see a great deal of ideology as far as Islamist movements are concerned. And I mean, Asia is also a continent where Islam plays a very important role. So I would like to ask your opinion, how you see Islam developing, and do you see another fault line appearing here?
Okay, good. Thank you. Let me just backtrack and say that with the end of the Cold War, some American intellectuals predicted that the age of ideology is over. Yeah? You will remember our friend Fukuyama's famous book, right? The end of the world, the end of history. Yeah? Was his point. What he was saying is that with the end of the Cold War, the communists have lost, and there is no longer a contest of ideas. That there's only one dominant view of how to organize society, and the dominant view is that politically democracy has triumphed, and economically the free market has triumphed. Then a few years later, a professor at Harvard who has recently passed away, Sam Huntington, wrote a famous book, The Clash of Civilisations. And in a way, he was prescient. Although I disagreed with him, I debated him in Davos actually. But he was in a way prescient in that he said, yes, nations will no longer go to war over ideology, but in future, nations may go to war over religion and civilization. So I guess your question to me is that, do I foresee conflicts in the future between Islam and I guess the West? Huh? I think my answer is no. My answer is no. I would say the answer is no, because I think if you look at the Islamic family, the Ummah, of the over 1,000 million Muslims, it is only a fringe element that believes in a fundamentalist view of Islam. I think it is only a fringe element that would like to take Islam back to the 7th century. It is only a minority within the Ummah who believes that Islam is fundamentally incompatible with modernity and with democracy. The majority of Muslims, look at Indonesia, look at Malaysia, look at Brunei, the majority of Muslims want to live in a modern world. They see no inherent contradiction between Islam, between being a good Muslim and being a modern person. They see no contradiction between being a good Muslim and being a Democrat. So I would say the majority of the Ummah do not agree with the fundamentalist view of Islam, and they certainly don't agree with the terrorists who are really not religious people. They are political people who are abusing Islam. They're using Islam to give them cover. So I don't think there will be a civilizational conflict between the Islamic world on the one hand and the Western world on the other hand. On the other hand, I'm concerned at the growing problems in Europe between the Muslim minority and the European majority. I think this growing gap between the Muslim minority in Europe and the majority is a cultural gap. I mean, I don't know Europe very well, but maybe I should ask Lawrence to answer this question. But my sense of having followed Europe from the time I was a student in England in the early 1960s is that over these 45 years, England and the continent have become less and less religious, and they have become more and more secular. So if I could exaggerate the point, I would say that Europe today is not a Christian civilization. It is a secular civilization with Christian roots. And the problem in Europe is that you have a migrant community of Muslims who are very devout, who organize their lives around their religion. And you're bound to clash, because to Europeans, the freedom of thought is more important than sensitivity towards the faith of others. So in Europe, you would defend a journalist or an editor who has made fun of the Prophet or made fun of Islam, because you say that he has a right to do so. His right of free expression should be protected and is protected. But to many people in the rest of the world, including Singapore, they would have a different view. I'm not a religious person. I have no religion, but I would never be disrespectful towards those who do have religions, whether it be Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or whatever. So I think in Europe, you have become so secular that, frankly, nothing is holy anymore, Nothing is sacred anymore. And the way you make fun of Christianity through what is supposed to be contemporary art is quite outrageous, But the Christians are not outraged. But when you try to do the same thing to the Muslims, they are outraged. So this is a problem you have in Europe. We don't have with this problem here, because we are, in order to get along in this little island, we've grown to become sensitive to each other's feelings and respectful of each other's religions. So even those of us who have no religion, who may be agnostic or atheist, we would still be respectful of the faith of others.